What separates fiction from truth isn't always evidence. Sometimes it's fear. In 2004, off the coast of San Diego, the USS Nimitz carrier strike group encountered something that would forever redefine how we look at the sky. It wasn't a meteor, a drone, or even experimental tech, at least not by any earthly definition. A training mission turned surreal when radar operators picked up unidentified objects dropping from 80,000 feet to sea level in less than a second. No sonic boom, no wreckage, just blips, until fighter jets scrambled and saw it with their own eyes. Commander David Fravor described it as a tic-tac-shaped craft, white, smooth, and utterly lacking in propulsion. It danced across the ocean surface like a ping-pong ball, reacting intelligently to their approach. As Fravor tried to engage, it disappeared, only to reappear 60 miles away in under a minute. This was not a hallucination. Multiple pilots, multiple ships, infrared footage, radar confirmation, and yet no answers. The video, leaked years later, only showed part of the story. According to crew members, the original, longer video was seized. 2 men arrived by helicopter, collected hard drives, and vanished. It was as if someone already knew what they were looking for and how to bury it. This was not an isolated incident, but it was the one that cracked open the door. What lay beyond it was far stranger. Before HD cameras, before Pentagon reports, and before infrared fighter jets, the skies were already alive with secrets. We just weren't ready to listen. In 1944, US fighter pilots over Europe began reporting glowing orbs tailing their planes. They weren't enemy weapons. They weren't flares. They were silent, agile, and always just out of reach. The pilots dubbed them Foo Fighters, a name born out of frustration and mystery. Fast forward to 1942. Just months after Pearl Harbor, Los Angeles lit up the night sky with artillery, targeting an unidentified object spotted hovering above. For over an hour, anti-aircraft guns fired in all directions. By dawn, nothing had been hit. No enemy aircraft, no wreckage, just confusion. And a photo that would become legendary. Decades later in Belgium, 1989, thousands reported seeing triangular crafts with 3 lights at the base. The Belgian Air Force scrambled jets. Pilots locked onto radar targets, but each time they closed in, the object accelerated beyond anything we're publicly capable of. None of these incidents have been conclusively debunked. What they do have is a pattern: silent crafts, glowing lights, impossible speeds, and vanishing evidence. If these were isolated sightings, we could dismiss them, but they aren't. Sometimes the loudest warnings come not from radar blips or blinking lights, but from the mouths of those who've lived through the inexplicable and lived to tell the tale. Lieutenant Ryan Graves, a former Navy pilot, testified under oath. UAPs are real, and they're seen almost daily off the East Coast. One of the most chilling incidents involved 2 fighter jets flying in formation. A dark cube, encased in a transparent sphere, zipped between them, missing both by mere feet. The encounter was so close, it triggered a formal safety report. But instead of investigation, there was silence. Across the ocean in Zimbabwe, 1994, 62 children witnessed a disc-shuttled object land near their school. They described humanoid beings with large black eyes who spoke to them telepathically about the dangers of technology and environmental destruction. These weren't attention-seeking stories. Many of those children, now adults, still tell the same tale, with the same conviction. And then there's Lake Baikal in Russia. Divers encountered giant, humanoid beings deep beneath the surface. When they tried to capture one, several divers died. Others surfaced with symptoms of extreme decompression, despite having followed proper protocols. From kids to pilots, from military to civilians, these aren't your typical tinfoil hat believers. They are the voices we can no longer afford to ignore. What if aliens weren't here to conquer, but to caution? Oumuamua, a strange cigar-shaped object that flew through our solar system in 2008. It didn't behave like a comet. It didn't emit light like an asteroid. It accelerated, as if by will. Harvard astronomer Avi Loeb suggested it might be alien tech. The scientific world laughed until they couldn't explain it either. In Turkey, from 2007 to 2009, dozens of civilians filmed a hovering object over the sea. Zoomed-in footage revealed something remarkable: 2 humanoid silhouettes inside the craft. The Turkish government analyzed the footage and declared it authentic. No known aircraft matched. Meanwhile, crop circles once dismissed as hoaxes began showing mathematical precision beyond prankster capability. One, near the famed Arecibo Observatory, seemed to directly respond to a message we sent into space decades earlier. It depicted a similar binary pattern, only with altered DNA, a different solar system, and a distinctly non-human face. And then there are the children, again. In Zimbabwe, the beings warned of environmental collapse. In other sightings, abductees report messages about nuclear war, pollution, and human self-destruction. It's easy to focus on the craft, the lights, the speed. But maybe we've missed the point. Maybe the message isn't "we are here." Maybe it's change before it's too late. For decades, the most incredible stories were confined to whispers and ridicule. But recently, those whispers turned into congressional hearings. In July 2023, former U.S. intelligence official David Grusch testified that the U.S. government is in possession of non-human craft and even non-human biologics. He said efforts to reverse engineer alien tech have been ongoing for decades. He also alleged threats, intimidation, and retaliation toward those trying to speak out. Commander David Fravor and Lieutenant Ryan Graves echoed the concern. These aren't tabloid characters. They're decorated military personnel. They aren't guessing, they're reporting. When asked if injuries had occurred during retrieval efforts, Grusch confirmed, both from the UAPs themselves and from human suppression. It's a war of silence, and the cost may be higher than we know. Why keep it hidden? Power? Panic? Protection? Whatever the reason, the truth is clawing its way into daylight, and the walls of secrecy are cracking. We've walked through radar returns, cockpit testimonies, ancient sightings, and modern warnings. The evidence is overwhelming, not just of alien existence, but of intent. They came in peace. They came to warn, and we ignored it. Now the burden is ours, to listen, to ask better questions, and to wonder, if we're not alone, what comes next?